I mean, the next stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you?
China pays this guy millions of dollars. See, I think he's the most corrupt president we've ever had. He's both incompetent and corrupt.
So
and
I
actually believe he's compromised. China now is building, think of this, China is building military installations in Cuba.
In this video, we're going to be reviewing some of the very important moments from the recent Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson interview that happened on the night of the GOP debates, whilst all of the other candidates were having it out on stage. And Donald Trump obviously didn't come because the guy's got some stuff on his plate at the moment. And it's obviously a very important interview in the context of the election, but also in the context of humanity. And there are some stories happening around the world at the moment which perhaps escaped your purview, which I'm going to touch on that are very relevant to all of this. So with that, let's get into it.
Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely?
I don't know. I will say that, he was a fixture in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I don't know what Barr said about it either. I have no idea what he said. What did he say? He killed himself, probably?
He said he killed himself and that they were going to do this investigation. They never did the investigation. It's never been public.
Well,
and they hid it. And why are they doing that? And clearly Barr knew. But why would Bill Barr be covering up the death of Jeffrey Epstein?
Bill Barr didn't do an investigation on the election fraud either, okay? He said he did, and he pretended he did, but he didn't. I don't know what he did with Epstein, but possibly he didn't.
Do you think it's possible that Epstein was killed?
Oh, sure, it's possible. I mean, I don't really believe. I think he probably committed suicide. He had a life with, beautiful homes and beautiful everything, and he, all of a sudden, he's incarcerated and not doing very well. I would say that he did, but there are those people, there are many people, I think you're one of them, right? But a lot of people think that he was killed. He knew a lot on a lot of people.
He was killed.
You think so?
I think the closer you look, I'm not a conspiracy person at all. I believe everything I hear. But yeah, the closer you look into it, I mean, the Attorney General of the United States, your Attorney General clearly lied about the Epstein death.
Yeah,
and
he was.
Why?
He was certainly. It wasn't well done. They had no cameras. They had no anything. Everybody was sleeping, and a case could be made. Look, I'm not going to get involved in it, but I can tell you a case could be made either way. But it certainly wasn't the most well-run place.
So the reason I'm asking you is I'm looking at the trajectory since 2015 when you got into politics, for real, and then won. It started with protests against you, massive protests, right. Organized protests by the left, and then it moved to impeachment twice,
right.
And now indictment. I mean, the next stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you, honestly?
They're savage animals. They are people that are sick, really sick. You have great people in the Democrat Party. You have great people that are Democrats. Most of the people in our country are fantastic, and I'm representing everybody. I'm not just Republicans or conservatives. Right. I represent everybody. I'm the president of everybody. But I've seen what they do. I've seen the lengths that they go to. When they make up the Russia, when that's exposed and they go down, and Barr should have gone after them, and other people should have gone after, and they did very late because the Durham report came out. It was fairly good. It could have been a lot tougher, I guess, but it was fairly good. But it explained how corrupt it was. I'll tell you who did a great job was the Inspector General Horowitz. He did a phenomenal report. You didn't have to go to Durham. He did it on Comey and on, I guess, McCabe and some others, and it was a vicious, it was basically a true report, how bad they are. But these people are sick people. These are people that I think they hate our country. You want to know the truth. When you see open borders, when you see these policies that they have, and so many other things, it's so sad to see.
That was a fascinating exchange there, because I think we all know that Trump, like everybody else, knows that Epstein was killed. And he clearly, like he said, doesn't want to get involved, but he must know. He must have some inside information about what's really going on. But what's even more fascinating is just the absolute insanity of the time that we live in. The most popular candidate for the upcoming US presidential election is being asked if he's worried that his political opponents are going to kill him. And that's a serious question. Just think about that for a moment. That's actually a question that he has to take really seriously. And there's a certain other cancelled man that they call the top G that said first they try and cancel you. When that doesn't work, they try and put you in prison. And when that doesn't work, they try and kill you. Just imagine if over the next 18 months, at some point, we all got the news that it all became too much for Donald Trump and he decided to end it all, or his aircraft went down, or he had a sudden mysterious heart attack. Imagine how insane that would be. But in the context of the world at the moment, and with how ridiculous things are getting, and more ridiculous day by day, would you really be that surprised? Don't you think that there are some people who really don't want him getting back into office or exposing corruption and election fraud? But I'll leave that to you guys, so let me know what you think in the comments. But now, let's get back to the interview when Trump talks about Biden and Kamala Harris and makes fun of them. And whilst it's funny and it's entertaining, I also do think it's very significant, and I'm going to let you know why after the clip.
I have never seen spirit like there is right now. Even coming down here, just the people on the road that are just absolutely going crazy. And the reason is, I think they like me, and I know they love my policies. I hope they like me too. You know, a lot of people say they don't like me, but they like my policies. I think they like me. But I have never seen spirit like it is right now. And the reason is because crooked Joe Biden is so bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country. I don't think he's going to make it to the gate, but, you know, you never know. But he's a corrupt person, so corrupt that I took the name off Hillary. You know, I don't do two people at one time. I took the crooked Hillary and I retired the name. That was a good day for her. I bet she was very happy. And I used it for Joe because it's crooked Joe. But Joe is really...
But you don't think he's going to make it to November of 2024?
Well, I think he's worse mentally than he is physically. And physically, he's not exactly a triathlete or any kind of an athlete. You look at him, he can't walk to the helicopter. He walks... He can't lift his feet out of the grass. You know, it's only 2 inches at the White House, right? That's not a lot. But you watch him, and it looks like he's walking on toothpicks. So, and then you see him on the beach where he can't lift a chair. You know, those chairs are meant to be light, right? They're like 2 ounces. Yeah. You lift them up. He can't lift the chair. He can't walk to the chair. And I don't know what they're doing with the beach. You know, this beach is seeming to play a big role, but they love pictures of him on the beach. I think he looks terrible on the beach. He looks terrible on the beach.
Skinny legs.
Well, he can't walk through the sand. You know, sand is not that easy to walk through, but when he walks through it, he can't walk through the sand. And there's somebody in there that thinks he looks fabulous at the beach. I think he looks horrible at the beach. Plus, the beach doesn't represent what a president's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be working.
Guys, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to chuck a thumbs up on it just to help me get this out to as many people as possible. And also, if this brings value to your life and if you want to be notified, you can hit the subscribe and notification bells. Back to the clips.
I'm interested. So you think he's failing? He obviously is failing. I think it's clear to everybody. But that would make Kamala Harris the candidate?
Well, not really. I mean, I guess they'd have maybe a free-for-all. A lot of people say she has to remain for certain reasons the candidate. She has to. I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think that other people would stand for it. She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah. But she seems pretty senile, too.
She speaks in rhyme. You know, it's weird. It's weird. But she has bad moments. And
in rhyme? What do you...
Well, the way she talks, the bus will go here, and then the bus will go there, because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States future. And I think they probably have some kind of a primary, and other people will get involved.
Trump is a freaking great comedian, man. And I know he doesn't seem like himself during this interview, and he seems a bit more dejected than he normally would be. But he's still got some bars, and you feel like there's still a lot of fight within him. I mean, I cannot imagine what this man is going through behind closed doors. But it's still going, and during this interview, he used 3 different nicknames for Ron DeSantis and Asa Hutchinson and then Crooked Joe. And this honestly says to me that he's going to hit his straps again. And it makes me sleep better at nighttime, knowing that such entertainment might be on the horizon. And I know a lot of people actually hate this part about him and they find it divisive and juvenile. That's fair enough. But one thing you really can't deny is that it is funny watching him make fun of people, especially Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
He'll be known from now on as Crooked Joe Biden.
And I want you guys to think about if he brought this in to next year, into his campaign, and he hit his straps again and maybe started to go on alternative podcasts as well, like Rogan and others. And he made people laugh and was entertaining and crushing his opponents in the game of wit. How monumentally might that impact his chances? I mean, we've seen Vivek doing that at the moment, and he's doing a killer job of it. That is, in my opinion, the most effective way to do things in this day and age. So time will tell. But what I think we do know is that this election cycle is going to be one of the most entertaining, if not the most entertaining ever. Now on to the next part where Trump starts to talk about global politics. And this is very, very significant within the current context of the world. So I'll explain that to you straight after this.
I got indicted 4 times. All trivia, nonsense, bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's horrible when you look and you look at what they're doing. The boxes hoax, I'm covered by the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do exactly that. He's not covered, and he's got 25 times the number of boxes, and he's got them stored in Chinatown. He's got them stored in a flimsy garage underneath his Corvette at Penn. And by the way, at Penn, he gets millions of dollars. China pays this guy millions of dollars. See, I think he's the most corrupt president we've ever had. And he also has the distinction of being the most incompetent. And I believe both. I mean, he's both incompetent and corrupt.
So
and
who
I
is running the
actually
government?
believe he's compromised because China knows so much about him. They know where the money comes from. They know where it is, who paid it, and they probably paid it. Well, they do pay Penn, and he gets $1 million. I think he takes $999,000 because, keeps it a little bit under $1 million, like by $1. But he, in many ways, is a Manchurian candidate. We have a Manchurian candidate, and he's afraid to tell Russia to get out of Cuba. He's afraid to tell China to get out of Cuba. He's afraid. China now is building, think of this, China is building military installations in Cuba. The Cuban population of Miami is not too happy because they're never going to be able to go back. And you don't even hear about it. And the worst culprit is the press, the media, because normally, when I first heard that China's building installations in Cuba, and installations means military installations, okay, they said just some communication. They did that on the islands with Japan. They took the island, they started this massive construction, and they told everybody, including the Japanese have to be very careful. They told everybody that this is a housing development. They're going to build a housing development. And I said, how come the runway is 20,000 feet long? Private jets need 4,000 feet. They don't need 20,000 feet. The big ones need 20,000 feet. They don't even need 20. And I looked at the runway. I said, that's the largest runway ever built, both in width and length, for housing development. There's nobody that has a plane that big that you would have a runway that's
Why is
for
China
testing.
allowed to conduct imperialism in our hemisphere?
Well, yeah, and it's far beyond Cuba. It's all over South America.
Yeah, in the Caribbean.
So we built a thing called the Panama Canal. We lost 35,000 people to the mosquito, malaria.
Yeah.
We lost 35,000 people building. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito. Vicious. They had to build under nets. It was one of the true great wonders of the world. As he said, one of the 9 wonders of the world. No, it was one of the 7. It happened a little while ago, It says 9 wonders of the world. You could make 9 wonders. He would have been better off if he stuck with the 9 and just said, yeah, I think it's 9. But this is one of the true 7 wonders of the world. And you take a look at the Panama Canal. It was such an incredible engineering marvel. We sold it under Jimmy Carter. We sold it to Panama for $1. The following day, they quadrupled the amount of money that ships had to pay to get across. They didn't lose one ship. And now they've made it much bigger, and now they've widened it. They've doubled it, right? They've more than doubled it. And it's one of the most profitable things. Any time it's just incredible, right? We gave it away for $1. China now controls it. They actually control the Panama Canal. They run it, they control it. And we shouldn't let that happen. And we can't let China be in Cuba. And they'll get out. If I'm president, they'll get out. Because I had a very good relationship with President Xi, but he respected this country. He respected me.
China is building military bases in Cuba, hey? I did not even know about that, but that sounds pretty concerning. Let's have a look into it. According to the New York Times, a Chinese spy base or facilities in Cuba that could intercept electronic signals from nearby US military and commercial buildings have been up and running since before 2019, when they were upgraded, according to a Biden administration official. And the Wall Street Journal also recorded that Beijing plans a new training facility in Cuba, raising prospects of Chinese troops on America's doorstep. Geez, you definitely wouldn't want your global rivals building military bases near your country and pushing closer and closer to your border, that's for sure. Or else, hey, you might have to do something about it. But seriously, guys, what this goes to show for me is that the US is in a place where they need a strong leader, a CEO type. Somebody who is going to be able to not only stand up to guys like Putin and guys like Xi, but also create mutually beneficial geopolitical relationships with these leaders. Just the same as if you're a CEO of a big major company. You keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Do you think any major global leaders are threatened or intimidated by Joe Biden? Do you think that they respect him at all? Do you think that any of them are worried about sitting across from him at a table and playing a game of strategic mental chess with Crooked Joe? Of course not. And if you look at the BRICS alliance, guys, we are in a stage now where China and Russia are being pushed closer and closer together, but at the same time, many other countries around the world who are, for whatever reason, quite anti-Western, are also joining this alliance. And you see this by the BRICS alliance. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And timely enough, guys, you may not have heard of this over the last week because of all of the noise about the presidential debates and also about Trump being arrested. But this week, the BRICS 2023 summit happened in South Africa. And one of the developments, which is just massive, is that 6 new countries have been invited to join the alliance. Those countries being Egypt, Argentina, and Ethiopia, which, I mean, you can have them, who cares? But then the United Arab Emirates as well, which is a growing economy, but also Saudi Arabia and Iran. They've also been added to the club. And a lot of these countries, guys, not the biggest fans of the United States, or the West for that matter. If the United States goes to war, or if it was to fall for whatever reason, my little country, you know, the little land down under with the kangaroos, they're in big trouble. This has a domino effect around the world. And these alliances are not insignificant. They're talking about de-dollarization. They're talking about getting more and more countries on board with these alliances and basically forming a real proper challenge to global Western hegemony. And what's Joe Biden doing? So with that, I ask you guys, in this unbelievably chaotic but important time, who's the man for the job? Is it Trump with his expertise in the art of the deal and his ability to be able to win respect from these global leaders and actually be feared and admired? Or is there somebody else? Do you like Vivek? Do you like the young blood? Do you like Mike Pence, who's going to go and start 8 different wars on his first day in office? What do you think? Looking forward to reading your comments, guys, and seeing you on different social medias and my other channels, which are linked in the comments and in the bio. And if you guys want to watch another video, click right here. Until next time, I'm Jake. This is Rattlesnake TV, keeping you armed and dangerous.